So now I'm going to teach you how to make the eggless lady fingers that we are going to use for making tiramisu. I'm going to assemble tiramisu in a dessert box. So I thought with that idea you will be able to even assemble different other cakes also in the box. So I thought tiramisu is the right one to do in the box. I'm also going to explain you during the assemblies lesson of how we could be setting that in the traditional way also. I have the ingredients here. It's like a pretty simple cookie that we are going to pipe it out in the shape of fingers. I have the sugar and the butter which we are going to cream initially, and then I'm going to have the all-purpose flour, baking soda and the baking powder sift together and then keep it aside in the beginning itself, and I will add the dry along with the milk, alternating it to the creamed sugar and the butter. Vanilla I will add when I'm just adding, after even creaming we could add the vanilla. Okay, so I'm just going to set it aside. Start with sifting the dry. I also have the baking tray lined with a silicone mat into which I'm going to pipe. If you don't have a silicone mat, you could use parchment paper, but obviously we need a tray on which, if you have lined the parchment paper, we could just go on and then pipe on the tray. Now into this bowl I'm going to sift the all-purpose flour, baking powder, baking soda, and then set this aside. Now into the stand mixer, then we start by adding the butter. Just add the butter and then soften the butter first. Into the soft butter, add the sugar. So after adding the sugar, you want to allow it to beat for about 4 to 5 minutes and let the butter and sugar cream well and become light pale and fluffy. I'm just going to stop and scrape it down and also show how the colors change. You can see the centermost is pale and then the edge still in the yellow tinge. So I'm just going to scrape and put everything together in the middle and then continue beat for about a couple more minutes. The butter, sugar creamed well. You can see it's pale, light and fluffy. That's what we are looking at. And into this I'm going to add the vanilla extract. And then beat just until the vanilla is incorporated. Now into this I'm going to add the flour in 3 parts and the milk in 2 parts, and I'm just going to alternate the both, starting and ending with the flour. Okay, so that's to avoid overbeating. that will be the first part of the flour, and just beat just until the flour is mixed well, incorporated, and not overbeat. So the moment you see the flour is all incorporated, just going to add the milk, just about half of it, and wait until that milk is also incorporated. And then add the second part of the flour. And then beat on slow speed. Wait until you see no traces of the flour. I'm just going to open and then scrape the bowl, so we have all the flour incorporated. And then add the second part of the milk, and then now beat until the milk is fully incorporated. Now the final part of the flour. Now just beat until all the flour is fully incorporated. Just going to scrape down the sides. And beat it once. So that's pretty much it. We have the batter ready. It's basically a cookie. So it's just going to be pretty thick. I'm just going to scrape it down. And I'm going to get a tall glass, a piping bag, and then a round nozzle. I'm just going to fit the piping bag with a round nozzle. If you don't have a bigger round nozzle, you could just fill it on the piping bag and then just snip it open. Then having a nozzle always gives a better control of the shape of the cookie that you pipe. So just fit it. To that, I'm just going to fill the cookie dough. I'm just removing air pockets because that's a thicker batter, or it's like a dough anyway. So I just have the prepared pan here, which is the baking tray, topped with a silicone mat. I'm just going to start piping. It is a thicker dough, right? So it will be a bit difficult to squeeze it out. So we'll just press down the other side. Just ensure you have a straight finger. This with equal pressure. So I am putting pressure with my left hand near the tip of the nozzle as well. Just not squishing it here. I am also pressing it from this end. So here also there is pressure. So I'll show you how we could just smooth that part out. We have all of them piped. You just need to grab a cup of water, plain water, to just soften up the bottom edge. Just a bowl of simple water. I'm just going to dab my finger in it. Just get the other end shaped well, so you have both the sides like a proper rounded finger. Just go on, because we just cut this end and then started piping there, so you have the other end also quite sharp. You could just round that as well. Okay, so you have these fingers piped in ready. Now these has to go into the oven, in the oven that's been preheating at 180 degrees Celsius, and we'll need anywhere between 10 to 12 minutes, and just wait until the edges turn golden brown. The top also will turn brown and based on the oven, but then just you need to wait for the mark on the edges of the bottom of the cookie turning golden brown, and then just lifting it, the cookie will just leave the mat out, and then we'll be ready. If at 12 minutes, if it is not baked, you feel like the bottom edges have not turned golden brown, then you could wait for maybe a minute or more, but then anything more than that, you will have very hard cookie. So I'll do that, bake this in the preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 12 minutes, and then I'll get back to show you how the cookies got baked. So the eggless ladyfingers are baked and out of the oven. You can see the bottom is nicely browned, golden brown, and the top colors changed as well. It is a beautiful light brown shade on the top, and they are quite crisp. So you could just leave them out maybe like within an hour if you know that you're going to set up the tiramisu. But if you are going to wait for any longer, you don't want the cookies to be lying out and then become soft. So the ideal way to store is to have a bigger ziplock and put all the cookies inside, and then get all the air out, and seal the ziplock, and then fold it, and then put it in an airtight container. And it could be in the room temperature if you're going to use it within the same day. But if you have to store it for further long, then you could put it in the freezer, but obviously it has to be within the ziplock. Like if you're going to pick them and then place it in an airtight container and then close with the lid, there is still air that is circulating within the box, and that will lead to moisture evaporating from the cookies and touching the top of the underside of the box, the airtight box, and that will condense on top of the cookie, and the cookies will get soggy even if you are placing it in the airtight container without sealing it in the Ziploc bags. So store for longer means then you have to put it in Ziplocs, or just within an hour you should be able to just assemble the tiramisu. I'll get back in the next lesson where I will teach you or show you how we are going to assemble the tiramisu in the box.